Well, Saku is a very, very special guy. He's got a big, big heart. Saku is the only player that I went to get at the airport. To this day, I don't remember who asked me and why. That wasn't my job. So anyways, he was coming in at night around 10 o'clock from Finland. So I went to pick him up. And right off the bat, I could see he was a different kid, because he was tired. He was tired, but he was asking about the fans, about the city. He was like, his eye was wide open. What about this player? What about that? And all that. And then he was hungry. So we went to McDonald's. Said, where you want to go? I'll just a quick McDonald's. I'm tired. Just want a quick burger. So he still owed me that kind of that money. Paid from that. He had no money. He had no money.
When I stepped on the ice, I never backed down and I never stayed down.
And I was vicious and I was malicious. And I don't care.
I'm alive. He's a freaking madman. Look at him going to town. That'll be a suspension.
Gervais, welcome to the Raw Knuckles podcast. Awesome to have you. My partner,
Thank you.
Tim Stapleton. I don't
Hi, Tim.
know if you know Tim. Tim played in Toronto. He played some in Winnipeg. But
Okay.
an awesome guy. And we've been doing this for a little bit now. And we're having fun. So
Good.
yeah, looking forward to doing this. And let's get her going now. Oh, God.
Let's go.
Oh, listen.
Let's jump.
I just think back, Pierre, when you first came in to the Montreal Canadiens. And when I got here in 79, I was in awe of the locker room, the players, all these guys, Hall of Famers, all guys I hated for years because I was such a Bruins fan. And now I'm here right in the middle of it all. You getting called up from Sherbrooke. What was it like that first time you walked in that room? Like, tell me.
Well, the very, very first time I walked in that room was in '84, my first training camp, because usually the American Hockey League team or personnel comes and give hand to the training camp. So my very first time, I remember Eddie came to get me at the door, on that water and the Maisonneuve. So Eddie came and get me, and then the first guy that I saw in the room was Flower. So
I guess.
Guy Lafleur. So he just shook my hand, and he knew me from Sherbrooke because he was part owner of the Sherbrooke Beavers. It was junior team.
Yeah.
So he kind of shook my hand and shake me a little bit, and hey kid, welcome to the room and all that. So that was my very first time. I did a couple of camps, and the very, very first time as real stuff was in the playoffs, 1986. We had won the cup in Sherbrooke in '85, the Calder Cup. And then the next year we didn't make the playoffs. So Eddie was, his health was getting a little touchy and all that. So Serge called me up just to make sure someone was going to be there to do this case and all that, if ever, because two that was there couldn't do anything with that. So I got called up, and back then, you remember, you guys barely made the playoffs. So I told my wife, I said, well, Serge wants me to go to Montreal, so I'll be gone for a couple of weeks, and I'll be right back.
Yeah.
And then hell of a sudden, that boom, 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 start going and won the cup. So that was absolutely fantastic.
But walking in that room the first time, being a kid from
It's
Quebec, you're good chez nous, and
Chris, I can describe.
Yeah.
I can describe, and all my years as a Canadians walking into the Forum was something special. All my years, it was like every day I was walking in that room, in that building was something very special. And by the way, I remember I always had so much respect for you, because when I came in '87 for good, you invited me at your house for dinner with my wife. So, Chris Tannen is that big. I'm just coming from Sherbrooke. I'm just a kid. So he was such a good teammate. And it's in the book. I'm telling anybody, such a good teammate, such a guy that took care of his staff, took care of players, took care of everybody. That was absolutely awesome.
Well,
Do you remember what you ate? Because he was just saying how good of a cook he
No,
was.
I didn't. Maybe I'll order some Saint Hubert barbecue.
So, Gervais, you
remember that?
I'll never forget it when that first year was awesome, and winning a Stanley Cup your first year coming in. It just awesome. You write this book called Au cours de vestiaire en français, the heart of the dressing room. And
It's going to be Tales of Dressing Room.
Tales of the Dressing Room. So
Yeah.
So listen, I want to go back, and I learned something when I read this book, and I didn't know this, and I played for years against the Nordiques and not hated Michel Bergeron, but we had that dislike, but respect.
Yeah.
Then I played for him for the New York Rangers, and I absolutely loved Bergie. I loved him.
Yeah.
He was so awesome. But I did not know the story that here you are, this young kid, you live next door to him, he goes on the road, you shovel his driveway, and then you get the balls up to go ask them if you can help him with the Three Rivers Draveurs, right? That's the story? I didn't know this.
Well, I didn't have the balls to go to him. I went to his wife.
You went to his wife. Well,
so I guess she saw me shoveling the driveway at 2 a.m, and then one day she was outside, and I just went to see her and said, I was going to the practice anyways. My school was like 5 minute walk from the 12 that Colisée there, the ice rink. So I was going. They used to practice at 4:30. So after my school, I used to go there, watch practice, go to the game, pay my tickets, go to the game, and following the team on the radio, like on the road. That was just And then I went to see her, and that was like a few months later. All of a sudden, he gave my parents a call, asked my parents if I could go to their training camp, which was in Montreal. We had like 96 players. We were about 3 guys. That was crazy. But anyways, my parents said, yeah, sure. That was just before school. So, here we go. I'm on the bus with those guys that have been like that big. Michel is sitting up front with a couple of people. And here we go, a week in Montreal. So, obviously, I was so thrilled to be there. They were asking me 1 inch. I was getting 2. And then, I did my best to do the best impression I could. So when we got back, said, "Hey kid, maybe you could come to practice anyway. So maybe come give us a hand and all that." And, I always told Michel, "I'll do it for free. It's fine with me." That changed after a couple of months, and he's having a lot of fun with that.
Yeah.
One day I came to him, if I could get paid a little bit, that'd be good.
And that was the start.
So
that was the start in 35.
That was
wow.
the start of my 44 years now.
Wow.
And I just was a kid. I had the thrill of my life, but I did 2 years as an assistant in Trois-Rivières there. And back in 1980, Bergeron went to Quebec City, to the Nordiques, and they needed someone in Sherbrooke as a head guy. So George Gilbo was in Sherbrooke, and I guess he talked to Michel, and I got the interview. I got the job. So here we go. I jumped on the bus. I had like $60 in my pocket, and I found an apartment, and that was it. So when I was in Sherbrooke, like remember Chris Sherwood, the hockey stick company was in Sherbrooke, and George Gilbo had contacts with NHL people, with the Canadians. We was good friend with Guy Lafleur and all that. So I kind of felt that I was getting closer a bit. A couple of times, George asked me to bring some sticks at the farm for flour because the batch of sticks he had wasn't good. So I drove, here we go, in a snowstorm and bring the sticks and get to walk in a little bit of the farm, and then Boom Mayer was there. Meeting me and make me feel like a piece of, you know what? Boom. So,
rookie, hey, rookie, treat you like shit.
No, he didn't even talk. He didn't even look at me. He just grabbed the sticks and like, get out of here. Get out of here.
That's Boomer.
That's Boomer. And then it's funny enough because afterward, I didn't say we became friends, but we kind of, when he was coming to Montreal, he was always coming to see me in Brossard, asking me for underwear and broken stakes and all that, So I thought that was very funny, but anyways, so Boomer passed away, by the way, like 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, God rest his soul.
Exactly. So that was it. And then a couple of years in Sherbrooke in the junior, and then the American League came to Sherbrooke with the Sherbrooke Jets for 2 years, 82 to 84. And then the Canadians came to Sherbrooke in the 85 and in 84, so till 87, till I left Montreal. So that was kind of funny because American League back then, like my Sherbrooke Jets year, it was looking way more like the slapshot movie than anything else. Now it's all kids and rookies. They want to make a team. They build. It's very professional. But back then there was older players finishing their contract and stuff like that. And I remember like the guys with the Jets, they had spent the previous years in the Tulsa, Oklahoma, which was nice to them, like playing golf almost year round and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden they have to go to Sherbrooke, Quebec.
Yeah.
It's basically French speaking languages and all that, and the snow and all that. So I guess their wives were not too happy about it.
Yeah.
And that year, I guess, we were so bad. We didn't make the playoffs. I think it was November. That was so bad. So we just So I did a couple of years. Then Montreal came in, and there was way more like professional and better players and all that. Screwy and Patrick Waugh came and Mike Layler and all that.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. Good bunch of guys.
Good group of guys.
Yeah, good group.
Well,
yeah, definitely.
You start out there, and geez, I look back. I mean, you worked for 13 head coaches here in Montreal. I don't know, 3 different owners, 3 different, 4 GMs, 5 GMs, was it? I'm not sure.
It's got to be 5.
5 GMs.
5 or 6.
5 or 6 GMs, hundreds of players, and the interactions.
Actually, I had 453 players.
400. Oh, so you could.
Someone gave that to me. He pulled them all out.
Wow.
Not training camp, not that, but players that sometimes they play only one game or two. 453, and I started looking at them, and some guys I totally forgot about, guys that played a couple of games, and so that was kind of fun to have that list.
Yeah,
I wanted to put it in the book. But I guess it wasn't.
Yeah, you got to sit and really think on that one. But over the years, certainly you've been through so much, and you were on Olympic teams, Team Canada. They invited you everywhere. You had an impeccable reputation around the league. You was, I mean, when you get asked to go to Team Canada and do, you're working with Gretzky, Lemieux, Lafleur, all these greats. I mean, that is an honor, and it says a lot about you as a person. Now, when you write this book, now, and listen, when you write a book, you want to tell your story, obviously, and be as open and honest as one can be. Some might say, and some have said, you've been too honest in that you crossed the line. Now,
they said that. You know what? They said that before reading the book.
Yeah,
that was the first couple of days. Guys, which were like Dominic Ducharme's friend or Berge's friend, and they jumped on my throat because looking at the title, they thought, "Here we go. We didn't see Boot for 35 years, and now he's saying everything." And that's not it at all. That's what they thought, so that's why they blast me, all that stuff. But it's funny enough because a few of them, the following days or weeks, they just texted me, just like that from behind. Hey, Gervais, sorry, I wrote the book and I was wrong and that. So now, damage is done, and that's fine. They're helping me to sell a lot more books because they put the fire in the shed. They just, that's what they did.
And that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
And that's okay, and I get it. People are going to respond. They hear little blurbs in the paper, okay, which I heard, and then everybody starts talking. And I spoke with you, and you had mentioned to me, hey, Chris, this is stuff that a lot of people already knew. Now, and I'm going to be honest, I think some people didn't know some of those things that you wrote. And again, I'm not judging you. I'm just
that's good.
Here's what's going on. When I look at just let's say the Max Pacioretty thing, when you talked about Max, and we'll get into it here a little bit, but do you feel it that you might have hurt someone's feelings by some of the, hurt them personally by some of the things you said about some of these guys?
Of course I did.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to hurt their feelings. I didn't want to, I said in the book, it's not a payback time type of stuff. Not at all. I wrote that book. Well, actually, Matt Salisbury wrote the book. I did that book, and he did a hell of a job, by the way, for the fans, for the people. I've been hesitating a lot of years, a lot of months, because I knew myself. If I was going to write a book, it was going to be a real thing, telling the truth.
Yeah.
And if one day some of them write a book and they can say the truth about me, I'm fine with that. So I was hesitating because I knew it was going to cause a little bit of chaos, not that much, but and I was very careful in my book. I mean, I just tried not to go too far. I know like a couple of guys didn't like it, like Dominic Charm and Bergevin and all that, but believe me, I've been very gentle
Yeah.
because people around the team that know the real thing, they say, "Hey, you've been easy," you know. But I didn't want to destroy those people. I just want to show the fan what happened in the last few years. I think they deserve that. I didn't want to hurt Patch. I could go play golf with Patch tomorrow. He's not a biggest A in the world, but he was a different guy. And then he went to Vegas afterward, and the Vegas staff told him exactly the same. So it's not something personal, something that people had to know what happened with the C, with Patch, and all that. What came out that Michel Therrien apparently said that he was the worst captain ever and all that, which I don't know about. So I just tried to bring the true story, stuff in the room. There's nothing major in that. There's no big secret. Nobody can say, "Hey, Gerv, that was between you and me," or no one can say that. I didn't go personal. I stick with hockey because you know as good as I
Yeah.
do, coaches and staff and all that. If you go outside hockey, there's a lot of stuff happening, and then I didn't want to go there at all. So yes, I did hurt a lot of feelings, and when I decide I'm going for real, I'll jump in. I'll jump in. That was it.
Do you have any regrets of anything you said?
Nope, not at all. Not at all. Because I was, Matthias and I, we had like a Zoom meeting and at home, my place or his place and all that. And even sometimes it was like kind of surprised. We said, "Are you sure you want to write that?" Well, I said, "I told you I was going to write the real thing. I'm writing the real thing." You know, that's it. You know, with whatever happened, you know. And I remember the very first meeting with Matthias Brunet, he told me two things. He said, "Well, I don't want to write a biography on you." And I said, "No, not either. The story's not me. It's what I lived." And then said, if you want to write a book to make money," he said, "you won't make money with a book." I said, "That's fine. As long as I don't lose money, that's not my goal at all." So that was it. So when we went on, and then boom.
Gervais, we got to just break for a sec. Tim, you're going to have to put your headset because there's an echo, and it's
My thing, yeah, hold on. Let me see.
it's gonna ruin the.
That's what it was. Okay.
Yeah. He took his headset off. There's something going on, and it'll ruin everything. Like I can hear every word I'm saying here. So
Yeah. Same thing here.
yeah,
Same
it's
here.
not good. Leave it to Tim to fuck it up.
My thing died. Hold on.
Well, your fucking thing, get it alive.
What about
again.
now?
Now, I can still hear a bit of an echo. Yeah.
Hold on.
Justice,
What about now? We're good now?
are we good now?
Yeah, we should be good now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. There was an echo, Justice. He had his headset off, and it,
Pierre's picture's better now. Everything's
everything's better. Here we go.
No, it's right. All right.
All right, so we'll get back at it. So, all right, you hurt some feelings, no question about it.
Yep.
And listen, I've been around you for all the years I was there, and I had nothing but respect. You kept your mouth shut. You weren't a big mouth in the dressing room. And I was with Boomer, Mayor. I saw Boomer getting an altercation with Doug Wickenheiser, a guy who was at the time really struggling, and it really pissed a lot of people off. And that was kind of the end of Boom. And he was certainly a different cat, but you came in and there wasn't one thing, if a guy asked for something that, you know, you had 22 guys and guys, everybody had something. It was done the next day and you learn from the best. How was that? Like, listen, you're your own guy, but how was it learning from the best? And I mean, come on, Eddie Palchek to learn from Eddie. Eddie.
Yeah, Eddie.
But talk to me a little bit about that relationship, you and Ed.
First of all, I did my best every day like you did your best every day. So, I mean, that's everybody did. Eddie, I got to spend 10 years with Eddie from 87 to 97. And, well, you want to talk about stories? Oh, my God. I mean, you know, we always went for a few beers, you know, Eddie, right? So I always go for a few beers and then dinner and all that. And he was like telling me stories like he got to live the train. Like when they were traveling by train when he was younger, and and then all the players, and that was so much fun. And yes, I learned from Eddie, from the best. Eddie was very discreet. It was fun to be around. He had fun with players, and yeah, I learned with Eddie. I really, really enjoyed my 10 years with him.
Okay. Now we're going to go back to when you started. Okay. And this is the year we win the Stanley Cup. And okay was the coach, John Perron. And in your book, you talk about Jean. And listen, I couldn't agree more with what you said. And basically, the guys did not respect Jean because they didn't think he had a good grasp of the game. And in your book, you talk about he come in, he wrote some stuff on the board, and then that quickly, when he left the room, and I'll never forget it, it got erased, and then it was shown properly. And that season, and I tell everybody, and listen, I have my issues with this coach. I confronted him, and I'll never forget in Hartford.
Is this
Pudding Head? It is Pudding Head.
I didn't say it.
He didn't say it. I said it, and I'll say it again. It was Pudding Head.
I said it up. Yeah.
And we used to skate around the ice, and he would say something no one would understand, and guys would skate around and go, pudding. And he didn't know what the hell we were talking about. Anyway, regardless, Jean is not a bad person. He's a good guy. But
no, exactly.
He didn't have a grasp for the game. And I remember when, we learned how to do it correctly from the person who stood up and erased that board and said, here's what we're going to do, guys. And I'll just tell you, that year, Bob Gainey, Larry Robinson, and, I know we talk about leadership in the locker room from within. Those two guys were so responsible for keeping us on the track that year. From your point of view, how did you see that?
Well, that's exactly how I saw it. Those two guys were amazing, and you can add Greener, you can add a bunch of guys, Brian Walter, Carbo, and you, and a lot of guys were like. So that's exactly what it was, Knuckles. You know as good as I do. I mean, I wish I could have said or write something about everybody is something nice. Everybody's nice. Everybody's good. Everybody's happy. Everybody's, but that's not working that way. That book I would have sold 5 books. I mean, and the goal wasn't to sell books, but the goal was to tell the truth. If you tell the truth, you just can't see the truth about this guy, not about that guy, and then you pick your spot. So if you tell the truth, go all the way. And then, Jean was, like you said, he's a good guy. He's a nice guy, but that wasn't his. I guess he came in after Jacques Lemaire.
Yeah.
I mean, right? The step was pretty high, and the way he was talking and saying things and all that, that was. So I was very surprised at that, and then that year, we won because of very good veteran that took it like very seriously, and players followed them. Chelly and all those guys, they just followed, and. We won the cup.
Yeah, it was incredible.
It was amazing.
Is there any players like throughout the 44 years, like 20 years later, that you can compare to those two guys?
Not really. I mean, to me, Bob is Bob.
Yeah.
To me, Bob. I had him as a player, as a coach, as a GM, and he was there my very last game in Montreal. He came and had breakfast in the morning with me in Brossard. And then at night he was there on the ice and all that. So, I mean, that's Bob Gainey. Larry Robinson, just to show you, the day told me, that was back in October, said, okay, we'll announce on Twitter at 4 o'clock that this is your last season and all that. The first guy that texted me, 4 minutes after 4, Larry Robinson.
Yeah.
I was nothing for him back then, Larry.
But you weren't. You say you were nothing.
Any, but so he texted me. So just to tell you, those guys, they pulled that team, won the cup. What pisses me off a little bit is the whole summer after we won the cup, like Jean Perron was walking around like he was the king of the,
Yeah.
I went to his golf tournament in Sherbrooke. He talked he had a speech for about an hour. I did this, I did that, I won the cup, and I was there. My God,
embarrassing.
get me out of here. I was sitting up front, out of the league, I was sitting right up front, so that would have been too obvious. But anyway, that's the part I didn't like about Jean. I mean, that's. But hey, well, it is what it is.
And I listen. I have my issues with him, and listen, it cost me my job, and it cost me my time here in Montreal. And I've said this, and Pierre, I never wanted to play for another hockey team in my life. After I got here and after I established myself and I was here, and I know sometimes I got a little edgy, but with that coach, I remember in Hartford when he went around the room and he started pointing guys out and he said to me, when is the last time you had to fight Chris Nyland? And I give it right to him. And next thing I know, we're in Buffalo and I'm no longer in the orange jersey. I'm in a blue jersey. And I end up getting traded. But I was devastated. I was never the same. And I'm not ashamed to say it. I still did my job, but I was never the same when I left here. I missed it so much. And I was so glad Big Serge brought me back. So we go back to that year and win that Stanley Cup. And just what a great, great feeling. And then Jean Perron gets let go. And I give Serge shit all the time about it. I said, you told me that because I would have been perfect for Pat Burns, right? Me and Burns,
definitely,
crazy.
Definitely.
And Big Serge told me, he said, I didn't think Pat was ready. I said, he was ready 2 months later. Come on. Anyway,
yeah, exactly.
Right. So, but then Pat Burns comes in, and I'm pissed off about Pat Burns getting into Hall of Fame the year after he died. Now, those guys knew of Pat Burns. They knew his whole career, and he was sick. And it just pisses me off that they could not put him in there while he was still alive so he could go up there and look at everybody and say what he wanted to say. And they do it the year after he dies. Did you find that ridiculous?
Very, very good point. Well, honestly, I didn't see that going. I don't know. I don't remember that, but
yeah,
I'm sure it is. I'm sure that's the case, and that's
it was the year after he died, and he was on the list to get in, and they didn't put him in the year before, and I'm like, what the hell are they thinking? But
cases like that, it's unbelievable.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
But how was it working for Burnsy? What was that like? I mean, just
Burnsy was a different bird, right?
Yeah, a cop, right? He was a cop.
He was a cop. He did like some undercover stuff, so he lived a life to the fullest. And he was going everywhere in Montreal. He knew all the cops in Montreal. He knew exactly which player went where, whatever. And pretty often he came in the morning. It was kind of a little bit of under the weather because of the alcohol, the night sleep. And he had a bowl of Baileys under his desk. And sometimes he was at practice and just sitting on board and hey, Gervais, go get me a little special coffee. So I know what it meant. Half and half. It was half and half, so you can get a little better, But that was Burnsy. So it could be very tough on players. It could be very friendly with players. I saw him wrestle with guys sometimes, having fun, and other times, And I remember we were in Long Island, and preseason game when he came in. I guess it's 4-0 for them after the first period. So Burnsy came in the room, took his jacket off, and told me. He was on his way up to the room. He said, "I'm going to fix something right now." So he stormed in the room, and he was flying the container of Gatorade and the tape and all that. And for about 10 minutes, he was like a lion. And there was a garbage can, but that was screwed in the floor. He hit the can, but he was so pumped up. He didn't feel anything, but he walked out the room.
He was limping.
He was. How come that can is screwed? Hey, we're Long Island. I have no idea.
So when he wrote,
they
didn't erase his stuff when he wrote it on the board. So if he wrote, did the guys erase his stuff or no? Is that what you're saying?
No, not really.
Yeah, that'll be the day. Your head,
exactly.
Your head would go through the board.
But Burnsy was so genuine, such a nice guy, and he was very moody as well. Like some days he came in and you go ask him, what are the lines? Well, same as last night, because we changed about 5 times during the third. So, At other times, it was very funny.
Yeah. So, I skipped over it, but that year in we won the cup your rookie year, and I just wanted to go back to that Hartford series, and we went to Game 7, and we're at home, and they scored with less than a minute left, and I know Patrick Waugh gets a lot of credit for that year, and we had a really good team. We were really good defensively, goals against. A lot had to do with Patrick, but a lot had to do with our defense. We had a hell of a defense.
Yep.
Now, I remember that goal. I was sitting on the bench, and Babbage got the puck. They end up tying the game. And I remember the feeling going in the locker room. We thought we had that. And next thing, we're going to overtime. And I was scared. Honestly, I was scared to death, but I wasn't acting like it. I'm everything to that, boys. Don't pass up a shot. All the same stuff you hear. And then 3 minutes in, whatever it was, and then Claude Lemieux. That year, what Claude Lemieux did as a rookie, like Patrick gets the Conn Smythe, and I know he came in second, Claude, but he had, right? Did that Claude Lemieux have so much to do with that season?
You're totally right. Claude Lemieux, he did a lot, And about the same thing happened in '93. Again, Patrick was a big guy on that, but so many guys did a lot, like starting with Coach Demers.
Yeah.
He's the one that make everybody believe that we were going to win the cup. Guys, we're going to win. No doubt we're going to win the cup. And guys start believing, and then all of a sudden, and then the Brown Bellows, the other guys, But
John LeClaire.
Totally right. Yeah, exactly. But that year, like Claude Lemieux did a lot. And then we don't talk about that enough. You're right.
Yeah.
You're totally right.
He had like 5 game-winning goals as a rookie in the playoffs, Tim.
And then he did it again in New Jersey, right?
Wasn't
he?
He did in Jersey.
It's unbelievable.
He was a playoff performer. No question. No question.
Pepe was a different guy.
Yeah.
We all know this. But he was like a tough guy. Very tough guy. He was willing to do whatever he could, 200/85 to win the game and to help the team. And on that sense, he was like a really, really nice guy.
Well, it was funny. I don't know if you were there yet, but the time, he came in, he got called up, and he, after practice, went into the sauna and pissed on the rocks. Were you there then?
No, I wasn't there.
It was incredible. Pierre, I don't know if you ever heard the story, but he came in after practice, and he thought he'd joke around, and he pissed on the rocks. The whole locker room stunk. And who came in?
No.
Bob Gainey goes, "What is that? What is that?" And it got to Bob about the piss on the rocks. It went right upstairs to Serge, and Serge came down, and he smelled around the room, and he fucking brought Lemieux. He said, "Hey, you, come." Claude, he got him in the room. Claude, he fucking said, "Grab your bag, get your shit. You're going back." And he sent it back down to Sherbrooke. Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Claude went out, and his car was on the thing, and everybody's following him out, and he punched his rearview mirror, his side mirror, and cut his hand.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that.
Yeah, that's what that was.
I wasn't Sherbrooke back then, so he came back to Sherbrooke, but I saw it.
That's why.
He didn't mention that, though.
So there you go. You learn something new every day, Gerv.
Unbelievable. Yes, sir. I'll have to write another book.
So
unbelievable.
So Jean Perron, Pat Burns, and you go from Burnsy and then to Jacques Demers, and you win that Stanley Cup. Now you got 2 cups. And God, Serge Savard was Big Serge was such a good manager. He kept his cool. He knew how to manage people so good. And the big guy did. And you say in your book, you were driving home, you heard he got let go, Big Serge. How shocked were you? It's incredible.
I couldn't understand. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. When you have a guy like Serge Savard, unless he does something major, something really bad, you keep the guy like that. Like you said, he was a general. He was like so respected by the players, by his colleagues in the league, by the other GMs and all that. He was so respected. And he did some great moves. He built that team, right? He built those teams and all that. So after like 10 games. Come on, give me a break. I mean, give me a break. Just wait till Christmas, the holidays, whatever, and then if it's not going anywhere, then you'll see. But 10 games, So I guess there was a little something between Ronald and Serge. Ronald
was Tim. Ronald was the president of the team at the time. Okay. Ronald Corey.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess Serge had a lot of friends. He was like come in the morning, do his job, and then leave for lunch and long lunch, and didn't get back. And the team was going well, but who cares? But I guess it bothered Ronald, And then it bothered him a lot. And then I guess that first chance he had, boom, gone. No. Everybody's gone.
Well, it's funny, Tim, and Big Serge, he had a lot of real estate stuff on the outside. He managed real estate, and he had done well. Serge, a very bright guy. And
very well, yes.
The word I got was Mr. Corey was, saying Serge was paying too much attention to his real estate stuff and not the team. If there's a guy who could do that, it was Serge Savard, and he was doing it. And the word,
and you know what? The team was going well too.
Yeah.
I mean, if the team is not going well, you do bad moves, all that, maybe. But go for lunch, go with your friends. As long as your job's done and you can buy all the real estate in the world and make all the money in the world, the team is going well. Hey, why not?
Yeah, and listen, I love Serge, but Mr. Corey, and I like Mr. Corey too, and I just think, standing back and looking at it, Mr. Corey all of a sudden thought he was more like a general manager. He could figure things out on his own. He didn't need Serge anymore. And he cuts Serge loose, and he brings in a guy who'd never been a GM, and I love him, Ray-Jean Hull. But Ray-Jean is more of, a concierge. He was good to people. He's very good. He's a smart hockey guy, but when you're managing a club, it's a whole different thing. And he brings him in.
Exactly.
And my boy Mario behind the bench, who I love, the bionic blue A. But
we love them all. But
yeah, it was such a bad move. And to bring them in, and we look at all the great things Patrick Waugh did here as a goaltender, and people absolutely adored him and loved him. And then talk to us about what happened there, because, you hear all sorts of stories, and Patrick, and we heard about him and Matthew Schneider, and everybody said, Schneider was sleeping with Patrick's wife and all that, which turned out to be, and I'm so glad you wrote that in the book, because people to this day ask me about that, and it never happened. It never happened. People love to make shit up.
I've been people asking me even lately, about that, and then I said, guys are playing games together. They're on the road together. They're practicing together at the same time. She has kids. They have baby. When the hell you want that to happen? I mean, So I mean,
did that affect the locker room?
I couldn't say. Well, they didn't like each other. That's for sure. They didn't like each other.
Schneider and Patrick did.
Because there was a rumor here in Chicago with Kane and Patrick Sharp, and it was so not true, right? They were friends though. They were, but
But Patrick and Matthew, they couldn't, because Patrick was very straightforward, direct. If something, he was giving his best, his 110% all the time. So if somebody didn't do it, he did the same thing in Colorado, by the way. When he came in, when he came in, Joe Sakic was taking it easy sometime in practices and all that.
Yeah.
And Patrick just went on his back a little bit, and he didn't like it at all. And, they had a few arguments on that. So that's what happened, I guess, with Schneider. And they broke in a fight in the Philly, if I remember well, in the dressing room. And Big Serge happened to be in the hallway, not too far. And then, so Serge came in, and guys were, guys like that. So, but hey, that's the truth. But it's, you see, it happens sometimes between players. Yeah. It does happen. It could happen with your own brother, your own family. That's
all
part
families.
Of the game, I guess. As long as they don't drag it too long, and they don't, that's it.
You can't let it hang. There's no question about it.
No, exactly.
Now,
same thing happened with. I remember one of the most memorable fight in the room I had was between Burnsy and Russ Courtnall in Chicago.
Okay.
Remember that room?
Yeah.
That room
down the stairs. Yeah.
Oh my God. Burnsy came in and he told something to Rusty, and Rusty jumped right on him, not physically, but he got up and you big fat fuck and all that. And then Burnsy got so red, so pissed off. You little weasel, I'm going to kill you. And then Rusty, the team left for I don't know, first or second period, and then Rusty just stayed in the room and threw his gear all in the garbage can and get pissed off and get out of there, and oh my God, that was something.
Funny stuff. All right, so Burnsy's there, and I wanted to ask you about, because in retirement, I went over to Russia. And we played some alumni stuff over there. And I had culture shock. And I read in the book, when you went over there, you had just a terrible experience. And I want to hear a little bit about that. And Tim played in Russia. So I know
4 years.
4 years he was there in Russia.
But all of this was, I know we went to Russia. The first time was in 1990. That was before the old thing.
Yeah.
That was, yes, in 91. So I've been in 90 and then afterward, and that has changed so much. Right? Back then, there was in Montreal, probably in the 30s or 20s.
Yeah.
That's what it was. I mean, that was like we got stuff stolen. Like we used to send our laundry, our underwear, right, getting washed, and then half of it came back. And we brought some spare stuff, but not that much. I mean, we finished the trip like we had almost nothing left, getting like robbed, like all the gum we had, and you couldn't trust anybody.
Yeah.
But they had nothing. You couldn't get pissed off at them. They had nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, that was, and all the kids, at the hotel, they all like grabbing your leg, like crying, my grandma, in Russian, and then what do you want to do,
You can't understand.
So that was
that's
exactly.
how I would take a taxi, and they would, the taxi driver would act like he never drove anybody and would never have change. So whatever I gave him, he would just take, and you'd get.
No, exactly.
You couldn't trust anybody, but
No, you just couldn't trust anybody. But that's how they were brought.
Yep.
They were brought up. I mean, that's how they were treated bad. And then it reflects on them, I guess.
So I want to talk to you a little bit about what went on there when Mr. Corey was behind the bench that night, and Mario took over the team. He was head coach. I think a lot of people looked at it right away. Well, Mario will be good for this team. He's a good Chenu. He'll get the most out of the players. And apparently it was working for a while. But how was that? Like, did the players have that healthy respect for Mario for what he did? And did they lose it really quickly over the Patrick thing?
Mario came in, like, that was all about pumping players. All about, that's how he was in hockey, as a player. So pumping the players and, come on, guys, you got to go. And so it works a while, it did work well. But the first game, I remember, like back then, now they have snack at 4, they have this and that and food everywhere. And back then, that was starting to go around in the league. Guys were eating toast around 4 o'clock, 4:30 in the wives' room. Remember the small wives' room? They had a couple of toaster and a couple of, jelly and peanut butter, and guys were... And Mario, in his days, that wasn't that way. So Mario walked in the room and he saw that. What are you guys doing? Well, just eating a couple of toasts. And get out of here. Go think about the game. And he unplugged the toasters and all that. And so guys said, what? Brent Savage. I remember Brent Savage. Well, what's that, So, but Mario that was still in his days. So that hurt him a little bit. At the beginning, and then it works for a while, because Mario is so enthusiastic, his enthusiasm and all that, just like kind of pumped up the players and all that. But after a while, it just catch up on him. I mean, the strategies and all that, like being a head coach in the NHL, that's something else, right? It's even more today, but even back then, I mean, you couldn't just like say anything or mention anything, or your meetings, you had to be like right on, and So who came after Mario? Was it?
God, jeez, I don't know.
You didn't ever have Keenan, did you, Mike Keenan?
No.
Not in Canada? No, but like one of the Canadian?
No.
He wasn't.
Thank God. I had him with the 87 Canada Cup.
You had him Canada Cup.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That was enough.
Yeah, he's nuts.
That was enough.
If we were losing, he would start yelling at the trainers. It would be like, you're funny.
No, that guy's cool. But anyways, so that was Mario,
But that night, you're there.
Oh, that, okay, That night
you're there on the bench, and they leave Patrick in.
Very first,
right?
So I guess the very first meeting they had in the room, I wasn't there, but the very first meeting they had, like Patrick was his teammate, was like he wasn't taking very seriously at all.
Yeah,
that was a little bit of his mistake, and he agreed with that today. So first mistake, like Patrick started like laughing a little bit,
Yeah.
So I guess right away, what's up? What's wrong? What's wrong? Oh, nothing. He kept laughing, nothing. So Mario took it bad, really bad, and with reason too.
Yeah.
So and then right off the bat, it started. The two guys in the room, it started, and then that night, that game was the end of it.
The end of it.
Was the end of it. So that was a big mistake of Mario.
By leaving him in, right? Patrick would have let him.
Definitely. Yeah. That was maybe 9-1.
Yeah.
Maybe it was 9-1. And then, so that was, actually I had that stick. I still had that stick. I gave it back to Patrick. But yeah, I mean, that was, I don't know if Mario really wanted to get back at him, or I don't know if it was that bad, or he just had not enough experience. I don't know to this day. But that was bad. And when Patrick came out and then walked in front of me, behind Mario, so Patrick, I said, he's going to slug him,
It looked Patrick, like it, right?
When he's losing his marble, I was expecting just about anything. So I just went to see Corey, and he walked back in front of me and all that. But I said that night was, oh, my God. And Patrick was a big guy. He was huge in Montreal.
Yeah.
So that was a Saturday night. So Patrick went in Eddie's office, and they called Bob Sauve, his agent. So we took a very quick shower, and we got him out the forum by the engineer room.
Yeah, Lambert class.
Which was Lambert class, the small door. So nobody could see him. So Bob Sauve was waiting for him there. And Pat came in. They went for dinner. They saw that. And then the next day, Patrick was willing to excuse himself. Wrong, and was willing, to calm everything down, and okay, we'll start from scratch and all that. But I guess the upstairs decision was made, and
then he was traded. God,
and that was another big mistake.
Yeah,
because they should have kept him try to get the most you can guy. But now they knew it was done in Montreal. So I mean, hey, you couldn't. You could have waited a few days, few weeks, or whatever, until you have the right. But anyway,
the right deal. It ended up being a really bad deal.
Yeah,
but that's inexperience.
What was the deal?
Martin Rosinski, Jocelyn Thibault,
Kovalenko. Was it Kovalenko? Kovalenko for Keener, Patrick Roy, and
it was a terrible.
Keener was a big piece.
Yeah.
Keener was a big piece.
A huge piece.
Exactly. It was a huge within the room, and
leadership.
He was a funny guy. Leadership, funny guy, but he was like playing tough too. He was willing to do whatever it took to win the games and that.
So the Patrick era is over, and you have a chapter in your book about a guy who I got to meet a couple of times, but not really get to know him. But certainly a wonderful, wonderful guy. The times I met him was Saku Koivu. Why that whole chapter for Saku? What was it that grabbed you about this kid?
Well, Saku is a very, very special guy. He's got a big, big heart. Saku is the only player that I went to get at the airport. To this day, I don't remember who asked me and why. That wasn't my job. So anyways, he was coming in at night around 10 o'clock from Finland. So I went to pick him up. And right off the bat, I could see he was a different kid, because he was tired. But he was asking about the fans, about the city. He was like, his eye was wide open. What about this player? What about that? And all that. And then he was hungry. So we went to McDonald's. Said, where do you want to go? I'll just a quick McDonald's. I'm tired. I just want a quick burger. So he still owe me that kind of that money. Paid from that. He had no money. So McDonald's, I took him to this hotel. I said, I'll come back to pick you up tomorrow morning at 8. So I can, show you the entrance at the Molson Center there. And then that was my first bonding with Saku. And then he became the captain. He became really sick. So all this. And when I got divorced, he heard I left home was like in springtime, and he was leaving for Finland. So when he heard about that, I had a plan B, but nothing really for sure. I was trying to get around. And then when he found that out, he came to me and said, listen, I know what's happening in your life. So here's the keys he had nice three stores of condos in the old Montreal. Here's the parking keys. He wrote me he signed 20 checks because back then there was no Interac or whatever. So he signed 20 checks. He said when the bill comes in, Hydro Quebec and telephone and all that. Said you pay the bills and that's it. So I said no. So I said, shut up. You take this. You enjoy the summer. I'm back that date, and then that's it. So that was great because my kids were young, 4 and 8. So we spent a lot of time in New Montreal. It was pretty nice doing those horses right, those this and that. So that helped to smooth out everything as well. And then that gave me the time to turn around. But Saku did it.
Yeah.
He did it. It's amazing. It's amazing. He's that kind of person.
Yeah.
I know he's been accused in Montreal of not speaking French, and then he was a little bit of selfish, maybe, whatever. So, hey, that's people's opinion. Maybe there's a little bit of truth in that, but overall, he was a hell of a player, hell of a guy.
Yeah, the Finns they're just, I played in Finland for 2 years, and I love them. I love the Finns. Yeah. They're just down to earth and very,
You know what? You're so right. And I'm talking about in my book too. Like Jan Ninima was about the worst players I had all those years. It was a Finn.
Yeah.
But I don't know what happened with him, but it was totally different from other Finns. It was like, oh my God, such a bum and such a, oh my God. He wasn't respecting anybody, anything. He was like terrible, just terrible. If the iPhone would exist back then, he would have been out in a second. I mean, he was. Oh my God! Anyways,
how about Saku and we had the cancer scare and he beat that. He comes back. I'll never forget. He come back that night. It was incredible. The fans embraced him. And another guy from across the pond, and Alexei Kovalev. Here's a guy that is funny. We played the Winter Classic in Boston, and Mats Naslund. Here is Mats Naslund telling me, and I absolutely love Mats, and we had a great relationship. I know you did. You went to a ZZ Top concert with him.
Yeah, ZZ Top.
ZZ Top. But
ZZ Top.
He was sitting there in the room before the game. We're going out, and he said to me, "Nux, I absolutely." I love Kovalev. I always respect him. He's was kind of one of my heroes. I really like this guy. And he went to talk to him. Kovalev totally ignored him, went in the other room and got dressed with his kid in the other side when we were with the alumni. And Mats was like, honestly, and Mats, he wouldn't say shit if he had a mouthful of it.
No, definitely. But I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah,
too.
he was stunned. And I'm like, I just got a bad vibe from myself. Like he came in like I'm king shit, take care of me. And that turned me off right away. I never met the guy till that day, and I didn't care for him. But, I go back to when they played the Bruins, when they got slashed, and then they end up scoring the big goal and winning that game. And that pissed me off as a former player for the Habs, him doing that. Yeah. How was he really to deal with?
I like Covey, actually. And I believe what Matt said. I believe in that. But I like Covey. Yes, he was he was thinking pretty big about himself.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was Russian, is what you're saying.
He was. He was. Yeah. I caused enough shit last week.
Being Russian.
Don't get him in any more trouble, Tim.
I don't. Exactly. But to this day is one of, if not the best forward I had in Montreal. He was so strong. He was a thoroughbred, that guy. He was a thoroughbred. He was like big, strong, really good. But his heart wasn't all there. And he told me one day, he said, Covey, I said, geez. Sometimes he was taking some nights off, some periods off and all that. And I said, I told him, said, what, why, whatever, he could tell, said, Gerv, if I score 2 goals, they'll want 3. If I score 3, they'll want 4. I don't need that shit. Like this. Okay. It's okay. But yeah, it was. But that surprised me because he wasn't the most outspoken guy with the fans and all that, but he never ever refused any autographs or anything like that.
Yeah.
So, but hey, sometimes it's surprising how people react.
Yeah, it's funny, you know, when you get a picture of a guy. We don't know these people. It's like I always say it. People think they know me, and I'm pretty much an open book. But as players, even you, Tim, we all, when we step on that ice for the first time, we play in front of all those fans, like, and then they get to know you on the ice a little bit. They think they know you, and whether it's good or bad. And you don't get that. It's like I'm here. We are talking about Kovalev, and I kind of had some preconceived notions of him just by the way he was on the ice. So,
you know what, Knuckles? The only people that really know each other are people in the dressing room.
Yeah.
You can hide for 8 months. You spend 8 months, 7 days a week, so you can't hide anything for 8 months. So. Just like when you meet the girlfriend the first time, like first few months are really nice, but then the rattle comes out, and hers and yours, and then, you know. So after a few months, so that's the same thing in a room. I mean, I was surprised to obviously with the Canadians and all that, it's you know, it's your team and all that. But when I went with Team Canada, you know, after a couple of weeks, like getting to know Gretzky from inside the room, was so pleasant because he's so funny. That guy, he's friendly. You can see that he feels really, really good in the dressing room. When he walks outside the room, well, everybody wants his autograph, asking him, and he's fine with that. But just in the dressing room, he feels like home. He's relaxed. He can talk about anything. And I remember, like, Salt Lake City in 2002. You know, we're in the village and you know, all that. So after first practice, he came in and he's in the room, you know, with Mario sitting there, like getting stretched and all that. So I said, Mario, that'd be nice to have a beer, eh? Mario said, yeah, sure. So everybody looks at each other. We're in the village. You can't bring any alcohol. But I guess Team Canada people smuggled some for their offices. So, you know, within 20 minutes, there was a beer coming in and then nice. And that's how he was, you know, just, guys, relax. You know, we're fine. And then just, that was his way to tell the boys to relax. It's fun to meet, to see people. And even Mario, that was my fear when I said yes the first time. I didn't know what to expect. You know, all those Joe Sakic, all those guys. I said, gee, it's going to be a bunch of prima donnas, and it's going to be like, oh my God. Not at all. Not at all. I remember talking to the trainers, and then the guy in Pittsburgh said, oh, Mario, just make sure you have a jacket in his, because he likes to keep warm. Make sure you have a jacket, a fleece in his stall. You won't hear from him. And sure enough, he never asked boo for anything. And most of the guys were the same. Obviously, over the Olympics, I had a couple of different ones, but most of them were like really nice guys, nice people, like Rob Blake, and I can't mention names like Paul Carey. There's so many good names of people, you know. Even guys like Eddie Belfour. You know, we heard so many bad things about him, and Eddie was, obviously it's for 2 weeks, you know, but still, a real bad apple, you can see, you can feel a bit, you know. And Eddie was very, very fine, you know. Like, even one day he called me, he wasn't dressing that night, not even as a backup. He said, hey, guys, don't bother taking my gear. I'm not even, you know, back up. And in the Olympics, you're not allowed to jump in. You're out. So it was nice enough to call me, to tell me, you know, don't bother taking my gear, because he had a lot of stuff. He had weights and all kinds of stuff, and his own sharpener, I guess. And then, but that was, you know, that did it.
Yeah, I guess so.
So that's that's the sort of people, like, inside the room, like, yeah.
While we're on that, who were some of the most difficult guys to deal with in the room? The prima donnas, like you said.
Right?
Remember Perry Turnbull? He had to have all them skates, remember, right?
Yeah,
like
that was before my days, but Eddie told me about that.
Right, yeah.
Very toughest guy I had was, it's in my book too, Michael Camilleri.
Oh, yeah.
He was, Camilleri is like, he was like very special. Loves himself, and he thought he was God, and then, you know, with his equipment, like everything was always something. Always something going on. And then Always something.
So would you always give them the stall by the shitter on the road? Because you guys would do that, right? Like you guys would pick. You guys know what you're doing, right?
It's a certain way. It's a certain way to have a little fun. But yeah, Michael. I mean, and you have guys, you have players, very good players. They never ask for anything. But the other guys playing the same game, exactly the same game. Like in Montreal right now, Brendan Gallagher, he never asked for boo.
Yeah.
Galley's just, he comes in to play the game. That's what he wants. He doesn't care about those little fancy things and all that. But that's, you have to have a few of those in your career. You have to. I mean, it's impossible. Back in those days, guys were pretty easy, I guess.
Yeah.
What was Nux like? Was he?
Nux was easy.
He used the same stick all year, or was he?
His little cap, and his gear was weighing about 2 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was easy.
I had the Cooperalls, right? That was nothing. My bag wasn't heavy.
Exactly.
The heaviest thing in my bag was my skates, right?
I was always afraid that we forgot something in his bag.
You know, Gerv, and thinking about that, and you know, the prima donnas and all that, and just your time there. And I think back of like Sylvain Toupin. Remember Toupy? He always, like I had Eddie Palchek tie my shirt down all the time, right? Tim, I'd have Eddie do it. And Toop could not. He said, someday I want to be able to tie your shirt down every game. This would be an honor for me, right? I finally let him do it, right? But I finally let him do it, and Toopy never forgot. I love Toop. And I've talked to him a little bit recently. He's a good man. You know,
our stuff too. I mean,
you talk about Camilleri there, and I get it. I've met him a couple times, and I take him or leave him. I didn't really get to know him, but I could kind of sense where you're coming from with that.
Yeah.
And I want to, I guess, ask you, what was, you know, we know what happened to Bob Gainey's daughter that time.
Yeah.
What was probably one of the most devastating things that you were around in all your career?
Yeah.
Like, was that it right there? Probably dealing with that with Bob?
It was it because Bob had lost his wife a few years before, you know, and then Kathy, remember Kathy, how she was like a real trooper. Yeah. She was the leader at home. I mean, she was taking her to schools and all the guys, everybody. She was throwing parties for
the team
players at Bob's house and the first team and all that. She was unbelievable. And then when Bob lost Kathy, it was like, I mean, of course, everybody's devastated, but that was even worse because she was taking care of all that stuff. And then a few years later, like his daughter, she had a lot of problems and all that. And then it turned out she finally became over it a little bit. And then she found her way, like with that boating, selling stuff. And then, it happened what happened. And I'll remember for the rest of my life, I was walking in the Bell Center down the garage early morning. And then as I came in my car, I saw Carbo walk out his car. And Carbo, that time, walk out his car. It was like almost like a grandfather. It was like, I thought for sure something bad's happening. So he barely looked at me and walked the stairs slowly. And I was right behind him back then. And then he turned around. Yeah, I got to tell you. I said, he told me that.
Oh.
My God, I mean, can't even imagine.
Yeah, it was terrible.
It was terrible.
And
I had guys, like I remember, like after a game in the Philly again. I was in Philly. Jacques Demers had to announce Ron Tongue that his father passed away suddenly.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget the yelling and the crying, and the Tugger totally lost it. And then you could feel that. And everybody were in the room like, you're frozen. You don't know what to do. You don't know that guy is losing it. And then it lasts a good 10, 15 minutes. So the game and whatever, that's not important anymore. It's just like, wow, I mean, this guy just lost his dad. And he wasn't sick at all, just a heart attack, I guess. So you get to live hard stuff, definitely. Like when Trent McClary got hurt, fucking his throat, and he was across the ice, and by the time he skated to the bench, he lost it. He was already blue, and they barely saved his life.
Yeah,
because they couldn't cut it. That was like just all like crunch, whatever. So those are moments that
it's incredible what Dr. Mulder did then, right? Saved his life.
Dr. Mulder
Wow.
and Dr. Schaffler, what was the other doctor?
Yeah, I don't know at the time.
That it happened to be there, yeah. So, so I mean, and he left with the ambulance, and Doc Mulder said if ever there was a little bit of snow, just a little bit of traffic, he wouldn't make it.
Yeah.
There's no way he would make it. So they saved his life, and
that's unbelievable.
What about the brawl in Philly? What was I always hear the one version from like the security guard came in, Nux. You always talk about. Were you?
Oh yeah.
The brawl in Philly. Were you there for that? Yeah, right.
Yeah, remember before the game with Dave Brown?
It was just.
No, it was at the Forum.
Yeah, that was at the Forum. I think that was the year before I came in.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it was the year before.
Right?
Or that was in '86 during the year because I came only in playoffs. So that was there, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember
no, it was in the
TV.
playoffs. It was in the playoffs. Yeah.
Playoffs, okay.
Yeah.
But the year before.
Yeah.
The year before.
You weren't there.
Yeah.
Because I didn't play Philly. In '86, we didn't play Philly.
And speaking of those teams, right? Philly, Boston, going in there. How was it for you as a trainer? Because you know there's guys that are scared shit. Now, and you knew who was scared, right? But could you see the difference, going into those buildings and see guys?
Definitely. And guys are human, they're only human. And I remember like it was worse in Boston for us because we had to walk through the fans to go in our bench.
Oh, yeah.
And they didn't know where the bars are, people drunk, and then the restaurants. So there was like 5 or 6 cops escorting us, but they hated us as much as these guys.
Yeah, exactly.
They wouldn't do much, I guess. So, and someone forgets something. Oh, I forgot my mouthpiece. Oh, I forgot my. So I had to run back by myself.
Like, I'm not even playing.
By myself. Oh my God! Roadrunner, beep beep. Walk back with my Canadian stuff, and then go in the room, and then race back again. Oh my God! But that was like the garden was really intimidating. The garden was like unbelievable. That was in the days. I get the feel it was like in the days when the Roman, with the lions and all that. Yeah. I get the feel that's what it was. People were, half of them were drunk, and then just a hit. Kill my guy. That's what it was. Yeah. That was amazing. But you could tell like some players were in different state of mind.
All right, Gerv, I want to talk to you about the Bergevin years and Mark coming in and. Listen, he gets hired. He comes here. He worked in Chicago. He was an assistant GM. He was a scout. He did all the jobs. He came here. Certainly an emotional guy. How, it's so different now for the alumni because when Bergie was here, man, and listen, I know it's these guys. It's their time. It's their locker room. I get all that. But you know what I'm talking about. Back when I played, those alumni around, how important it was, how that tradition. It's almost like, Bergie, he didn't want guys around because it put too much pressure on the young kids.
Okay. Berge, when he came in first, he did a lot of good stuff. He was relaxed. He was fun. And then Pierre Gauthier, the previous year, he was like cutting budgets on everything. It was like, that was crazy. Like all of the teams in the league, they were upgrading the food, the restaurants, the hotel, and then Pierre Gauthier did the opposite. He was cutting on everything. Yeah. So when Berge came in, he changed a lot of stuff, like upgraded to the NHL standard, if you will. And after, I would say the first 3, 4, 5 years, that was kind of fun. And then things went south year after year after year. I don't know if it's stressed. I don't know if it's, I don't know what it is, honestly. But last couple of years, I was pretty miserable, to be around him. And then nobody knew on what feet to stand. Nobody knew how he's going to react, he didn't care about the French language being in Montreal. He kind of forgot about that. Yeah. He didn't care about the alumni, the old players. I don't know why he didn't care about that. I always said he would have been a much better GM if he would have been an assistant GM of a good GM for 2, 3, 4 years. like Mathieu Darche with Julian Breezeball, like, but he didn't know, no clue how to treat people, how to treat staff. He was kind of still a locker room guy.
Yeah.
With players, that was fine. With coaches, that was okay. But with training people, like people around, he had no idea how to do it. So he's not a bad guy.
No, I get it.
In my book, I say it as it is, and I don't think he's too happy about it. But we went fishing together, we did stuff together, and then it turned out like he wasn't a total different guy. And when he left, I heard people from the Bell Center, like security people and usherettes and guys down the parking lot and all that. He was acting like way differently. Like it was kind of, I don't know what it was.
Yeah,
he kind of lost it.
Well, listen, I look at Serge. I know Serge had a big say in him getting hired. And Serge kind of looked at it like, well, I stepped out of the game, became a general manager. And here in Montreal, it's important to have a French general manager, coach. And Bergie comes in and does that role, and he fills that role. And I don't think he ever tapped into Serge. Serge would have been the guy to like, hey, what do I do in this situation? I think he just kind of went on his own, and I think he surrounded himself with people.
I don't like comparison, but Serge and Bergie's.
Yeah, no, but I think Serge. I think
the same league.
But I think that's what Serge was thinking. He could go. Serge even said it. He was in Chicago. He held all those positions. So okay, maybe he's ready for this. But my thing was, he never tapped into Serge. And I don't think Bergie managed people well. That was Serge's strong point, managing people, situations. If something bad happened, he didn't panic. He'd sit back, look at it. Okay, here's what we're going to do. He didn't panic.
But exactly. But Serge, as a GM, GM, it's not just like your team, your players, and they make trades, and then that's it. It's way more than that. And Berge wasn't interesting in that at all. I mean, Claudine, right? Claudine Crepin, she's been there for years, and then Claudia, she's an awesome person that she just couldn't keep up with the work. She was alone, and she did everything: passports, taking care of people, family, our travel. That was unbelievable. So last 3 years, 4 years, I told Berge, I don't know how many times, and everybody did told Berge, she needs help, because the day she'll be gone, you'll be screwed. If she leaves for a medical reason for a few weeks, you're screwed. She's the only one that does everything. And never listened. He didn't care about that.
Yeah.
He didn't care about that at all. That was just like managing team. That's it. That was it.
Yeah.
But again, he's not a bad person. It's just like when he had something in his mind, you can change it.
Yeah.
So if for him the alumni weren't important, they weren't important.
Yeah.
You couldn't change it. That's how it was. That's what happened when we lost Phil Deneau for $500,000 a year. He had in his mind not one penny more, and then that's what happened.
I think there's more than
same thing with Corey Perry. Corey was so important, and then 2 years. Give him 2 years. The second one he can't play, he'll be like assistant coach or something. A guy like that, you keep a guy like that. So important, but
Gervais. That doesn't pass the smell test for me, Deneau. Over $500,000. Deneau goes to L.A. and Bergie ends up there the next year. Come on, that doesn't. It just.
I know.
It does not pass the smell test with me. And who brought Phil Deneau to Montreal from Chicago? Marc Bergevin. So that I don't need to say anymore. It stinks.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, very good point.
I never thought about that one.
So, the Bergevin years, we're here, early years. It's time to name a captain. Subban, Pacioretty, two guys that couldn't be more different. One guy a little more introverted, the other guy, there's not enough air in the room for the rest of the guys. What happened there? Was it really a team vote? Was it?
Yeah.
And let me ask you this: do you think if it was a team vote, okay, and Subban got more votes than Pacioretty, do you think they?
Well, that was really a team vote.
Okay.
I know
but
that
I wonder if,
and I've heard there was only a vote for Subban. So you guess
There was
who it
only one?
Who?
That's
Who
what I've
voted
heard. I
for
haven't
him?
seen.
Who voted for him?
Well, your guess is as good as mine.
Dale Weiss.
But
Dale Weiss.
but that year I always said, captain, yes, it's important, but it's not that important. If you don't have the right guy, you don't name one. Because anyways, like these days, if a coach wants to talk to the guy or to change a schedule thing or whatever, he doesn't call the captain. He calls the 5 or 6 veterans. Always the same thing. So to me, always been that way. If you don't have the right guy, you go without captain. That's it. That's all. You could have like 3, 4, 5 other players that are really good leaders, but not enough to be a captain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's my thought. That's my thought.
So you talk in the book and you talk about PK in the room and loud and
Yep.
and
Yep.
you don't think he wouldn't have been able to be a good captain for this team? Yeah,
no,
for
no,
sure,
no,
right?
No. The guys weren't taking him seriously at all. I mean, PK he's a great guy, actually.
Yeah, he's a super guy.
PK is a really nice guy, very polite. He never said no to me, to anybody, for autograph or a sick kid. Always wanted to meet them and all that. It was just too much, just way too much. He loves cameras. He loves attention. He couldn't do anything without having a camera. He couldn't do anything like hospital. And he did some nice stuff for kids, but he always had his crew and put on his website and all that. So that's PK. You know, that's how he is. And then he's going to be on TV next year or this year. I don't know when. That's you know what? It's going to be like a fish in a bowl. It's going to be like that's cameras in front of him. Hey, people listen to him.
Be perfect.
He'll be really good. He'll be really happy. Yeah.
All right, and Max. Okay, so Max gets the captain job, and what I will say about Max Pacioretty, and he grew up, he kind of privileged lifestyle growing up. I get that.
Yep.
When he was here in Montreal, right, 6 times he scored over 30 goals at a time when goals were at a bare minimum. And it's amazing what he did. And not to throw gas in a match on the guys that played with him, but he never really had a bona fide sentiment. Like, let's face it, his best sentiment was who? David Dehaney, maybe?
Yeah. He was a good player. Yeah. He was a good sniper. Yeah. And that has nothing to do with his attitude. I mean, like Camilleri was scoring a lot as well. You know, was one-timer, boom, bing, boom. But a guy like that, to me, well, you know, a dressing room, right? So to me, if I'd be a coach, if I'd be a GM, even if a player like that is scoring 50 goals, I don't want him.
Yeah.
I don't want him. I want to have teammate, team guys, team.
So you found him not to be a team guy, Max. He wasn't a good teammate.
That's what I found.
Yeah. That's
what I found. That was more like about him than about the team, you know. I didn't say he wasn't caring about the team, but let's say you win 91, if you had no points, he wouldn't be happy.
He wasn't happy.
So that's and if you take Gallagher today, if you win 9-1, he has no points, he'll be smiling, he'll be having fun. Everyone and the high five, and he'll be happy.
You say something about like
that's more what I mean, you know.
Yeah, didn't you say something about with Pacioretty, he had some machine that he wanted to bring, and you didn't have room for it?
Yeah.
What machine
that's one
was
thing
that?
No, that's Dismo Tech, I guess. It was kind of with wire and stretching kind of stuff, you know. And then what I didn't like is it got personal, and then I had no room. So the first guy that came to me was his strength coach, and that machine was pretty big, you know, pretty heavy, and we had no room. You know, Pierre, our truck driver. I mean, he could barely shut the door behind. And then the medical staff, they were bringing tons of stuff, like a massage table from the hotel for the hotel, and then for the rink, and a bunch of stuff. And I told him, I said, well, get the medical people, the trainers, to take one thing off the truck, and I'll put it in. Even the arcade, the mechanic was taking it by rolling. I talked to him about it. I said, no. So I don't know what to put the gear anymore. I don't know where to put it because. So and then he came in, and then I went to Patch, explained to him. So he was always, every time I went to him, I was fine with it. No, okay, Gervais, I understand, that's fine. And then from behind, another guy was coming in, and then all of a sudden there was Berge coming in because he went to Berge. So he wanted to win that one. He really wanted to win that one. That pisses me off. And you know me a little bit, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So every time I was going to patch, every time, very politely, patch, Birch just came on my office. Patch, I have no room.
Yeah.
Even if Jeff Molson comes to see me, he's got to get a bigger
I
plane.
have no room.
Yeah,
There's no room. Talk to Joe, he's the mechanic. He knew Joe. Talk to Joe and talk to our driver. I showed him a picture because I took a picture. Those big tube truck, that was like at a wall. There was a wall. You had to push bags to shut that thing. So there was no way that was going to fit. So every time I went back to him, and in front of me was like, oh, no, that's fine. That's fine, I understand. So last time I said, okay, who's next? Who's going to go next? Jeff and then the Prime Minister? I mean, come on, man. I have no room. So that's what pisses me off a bit. But that's not the reason why I talk about him in the book. It's because of everything, the whole thing, the way he was acting. And then, again, I said it before, when he went to Vegas, we played them a few months later, and the staff, before games, sometimes we chat and we talk about this and that. And then they came to us and said, how was Pat with you guys? Not me asking them.
Them asking you.
Well, he was, a little different. Different? Oh, shit. And then he started saying, but that was the same over there,
Yeah.
If for one game he felt like bring 10 sticks, he didn't care about the rest.
Yeah.
If you have 20 players bring 10 sticks for one game, can you imagine?
Yeah.
But he didn't care. He didn't care. Just whatever. Just bring the sticks.
You gotta think of those guys. You gotta think of those little things. Christ, when I was at that, I remember my father. I come out of the forum one time after a game, and the kids were all around me. Hey, and I was signing autographs. Afterwards, he grabbed me. He said, "Listen, you make sure you keep your fucking feet on the ground. Don't get fucking big cheese. Think you're big shit,
Exactly. Exactly.
And that rang true with me. And most hockey players are like that. Most of them don't take that big cheese thing. And sometimes when you act like that, it comes out and certainly gets around. It's not good. And it's too bad. I know Max personally, and I have a different relationship with him. He's been, pretty good with me. I get it. But I also can see what you're talking about. There's no question. I've never been in the room, and I certainly take your word for it.
And you know what, Chris? You're right, because I'm amazed. Hockey players, most of the time, they've been good all their life. They were the best Mosquitoes. They were the best Pee-wee. They were the best Bantam. They had trophies. They won trophies. And your family is telling you you're the best, you're nice, you look good, and all that. So it's tough on them. And then you come in Montreal or the NHL, you're making money, you have all the girls you want, you go to a restaurant, people don't make you pay, you're like a king everywhere. So it's tough to keep your feet on the ground.
Yeah.
It's very tough, but they do. Most of them do. I have guys even are shy a bit. They like Suzuki, those kids. I love them because of that. It's wow. They probably have good parents. They probably have good agent. And you have your father telling you that, and he was so right, because it's so easy to lose it.
Yeah,
it's so easy to say, "Hey, wow, everybody's telling you you're a king," then you feel you're a king, and then all of a sudden, So I've been with players not very often, but I've been with guys in some bars after a game, and within half an hour, there was about 15 girls around them, and that was like champagne and. Crazy. It's not a Bono or a Mick Jagger. What it is crazy, So it's tough on them to keep grounded, But you're right. You're totally right.
All right, Gervais, I want to ask you a couple. Just you've been generous with your time. I appreciate it. Hey,
my pleasure.
What is your no, not hockey? Your favorite city in the league to go to?
Boston is the one.
Yeah,
I love Boston.
Right.
I love Boston. Boston is wow.
No, I didn't set this up, people. All you listeners out there, I didn't set this up. He's talking about my hometown, not Chicago, Tim.
I love Chicago. I love Vancouver. But Boston to me is every time. I've been there so many times too. And even in the summertime, I go down the Main. I always go to Boston with the kids and spend the day. And then the food, the restaurant, the ocean, like I said, the history. I love Boston. What a sports city as well. It's a great city for sport. I mean, basketball, baseball, football, everything is big there. So I love Boston.
What city did you hate?
No, Boston. Winnipeg and
I was just
Buffalo
gonna say Winnipeg.
are the winners. Are the winners.
Winnipeg and who?
I mean,
Buffalo.
Jerv?
Buffalo. Yeah, Buffalo. Yeah, it's you can't help it. It's just, apparently Buffalo is a beautiful suburb. Good. Never saw that. I always stay downtown, and I mean, my last few years, like the downtown Buffalo was looking more like Ukraine is looking now than the real city. I mean, you remember back then there was that main street and there was like stores and all that.
Yeah.
Lately, like you got 7 stores closed for 1 open, and even during the day, it's you don't feel
it's a quiet city. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a quiet city. So you have a lot of people that are wacko, no cops around. So even during the day, when you don't feel safe to walk a city, it's not good. But Winnipeg is the same thing.
Yeah.
Winnipeg is the same. You walk in Winnipeg during the day, and oh my God, it's
well,
a lot of misery.
I often people ask me about Buffalo when I play, and I said it's a city they forgot to finish. You know, they started building it, and they looked at it and they said, you know what, this isn't going to work. This is shitty. Let's go home. They took the tools and went home, for Christ's sake. But
the good one. Remember the old building, huh?
Oh,
the old building?
God.
Oh my God, that was so cold in that room.
Oh my God, it was. You know,
that dressing room. That was that was 5 degrees, and then you turn the heat on, and it's within a minute, it's 90 degrees. Turn it off, it's 5 below.
I remember we had the kid in the room. There was a locker room attendant, big kid, tall kid, and his name was Butchie. And I told all the rookies who would come in, you know, and, you know, he was a little different looking kid. He wasn't the handsomest guy in the world, but he looked scary. So I told the guys in the room, all the rookies who come, I said, see the kid over there, Butchie? It's the locker room attendant. He said, yeah. I would say, he murdered his whole family back 10 years ago. He killed them with an axe. And I remember telling, I don't know, I think it was Wickenheiser when he came in, and Wick was like, really? And I never said nothing. Everybody always looked at poor Butch like he was an axe murderer.
What's he doing here?
Yeah, like I said, he got out. He's done a lot of therapy, and he's good now. But Gerv, when you look at the players today, what the hell is the biggest difference between the guys today and the guys, say, in the 80s, 70s? Do you think there's a feeling of entitlement somewhere? Remember back in the day how you had to work really? And I'm not knocking these kids. I love what I see out there nights. There's a lot of talent and all that. What is it that's so different?
Those kids now, most of them goes to school, to college, so they come a little more educated.
Yeah.
And then they have the best techniques. They have good strength coach that start working with them early. So they're more like Olympians than in the days. You know, in the days there was a tough game to play and all that. Now they're more Olympians like they used to be. So they're like all dressed well, all very polite, all well shaved, all, you know, this and that. So that's, is it better? Is it worse? Well, if it's for the game, yes, it's better. For you know, you can see those guys are in shape. They come in shape. They have better tools than you guys had in the days.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Better surrounding, better tools. Even within the team now, it's crazy how many people there is. I mean, crazy. Well, last year there's a nutritionist and 3 strength coach, and it's like it's almost like a shopping mall in there. It's like crazy. Too many people, to me, way too many people. So, but hey, it's all for them, and then to them to take advantage of it.
How about?
But guys are different.
How about the iPads? Do you like the fucking iPad? I want to smash them fucking iPads. You?
No, seriously. If I'd be a coach, I would say TV timeout. You look at them if you want, not during the play. And my last couple of years, I spent so much time giving the iPads, collecting the iPads.
Hey, Gerv, give me an iPad.
On the floor pick up on the floor because the guy's there. Hey, next second, they throw the iPad, and then no, that kills me. That kills me.
Well, there's probably the guys.
The TV timeout.
Go ahead.
TV timeout. Yes. When the play's on, look at your teammates. Look at the play. Look at the game. To me.
Well, I was going to say I don't know how to say it. You know, like back in the day, like you'd go out and explore a city, have a beer with the guys. Now they just play like video games, don't
No,
they?
no, no. They go in their room.
They don't leave the
They all
hotel.
have big bags.
Yeah.
You leave for one game. They have big bags, and all that, and it's heavy. So they have all their, whatever it is.
Crazy.
I have no clue, but you don't see anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So they go a little restaurant a little bit. They have a couple of Diet Coke and then or chocolate milk, and then they go to their room and they play their game, and then you see them walking the hallways. They're all like in the, they're dressed like almost in pajamas, ready to go to bed. So that's what it is now. That's what it was now.
I got just a couple more here, Gervais. I'm going to let you go. I mean, I really appreciate it again. I got to ask you about Jonathan Drouin. He come here. The expectations were so high with this kid. He signed his contract. I remember when he came, and this town is not easy town to play in. I'll go back to Doug Wickenheiser. You weren't here. Wick had such a hard time making that adjustment. The expectations were so high. I think they were high for Jonathan Drouin. It's been disappointing. Yep. I know he got injured. I know he had some issues and all that. But put that aside. Like, has it been pretty disappointing from that standpoint, from the hockey standpoint with him? Because, boy, he just didn't come close to what people wanted. Well, expected from him.
As you mentioned, he's a good kid. He's very polite. He's a very good kid with us. When he said he had some issues, I could picture. I could picture it. I could figure it out because I didn't know, but when he came out with that, I could see a little bit. And then he's. I don't know. I hope that because he's got so much talent. He's got so much talent, but he has problem to adjust, I guess, to the game. Not only in Montreal, just with other players, or I think he has problem to adjust. But he's a great kid, and I wish him, all the best for him and for the team. Yeah. He played the last couple of games. He played pretty good, I guess. So, but it's every time he goes for a few games, it falls back. It seems like
consistency.
So
right,
exactly. He can't keep that up. But hopefully, every time I'm telling myself, hopefully this time is the right time. Hopefully he's gonna. But he's taking care of himself now. He had a kid. He's taking care of himself, and hopefully that'll be the right time.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. Now, you've been around a lot of superstar players, goaltenders, Patrick Roy, Carey Price. You said in your book you didn't see that coming when he had to go and get help and all that, but you weren't weren't with him all summer. Carey Price, boy, you wanted to see him win that Stanley Cup. He's done everything else in the game. But, boy, talk a little bit about Carey. I guess maybe what people don't know about Carey Price, because, boy, he's taken a lot of heat lately because he's, supported hunting.
He's hunting.
Yeah. Well, Carey's such a nice person. He's a nice, deep person. I know his parents. His parents are great parents, great people, and his father is he's almost a shy person, and then Price has been he's been brought up in the right way, the right family. If someone in the NHL would have deserved to win the cup, it's him, definitely, because he won everything else, and we came close in 21, as you know. And that was very tough on him, and that was very tough on Webby.
Yeah.
Very, very tough. I mean, I've seen guys like pretty sad and crying all that after, playoffs, and that's totally human, totally normal. But Webby, at least 45 minutes, couldn't stop. You could tell it was. And then Price about the same thing, and he's been suffering so much. If people suffer the 100% of Carey, what he did. I remember, like after games in Montreal. I used to leave, go meet my friends for a drink or bite to eat, whatever. Come back an hour later, an hour and a half later, and then go into the dressing room to get my stuff. And Carey was still there on the table with ice bag and all that. Everybody's gone. Everybody's long time gone, and he's there with the medical people, and so that's Carey Price. He's got a big, big heart. I understand what he wanted to do by protecting his people with those rifle things. I understand that. But no one said they couldn't hunt anymore. Nobody said they couldn't do it. Just like that, you don't go hunt with that, with that, those bazooka,
a machine gun.
That's a machine gun, or exactly, or AK-17, whatever. And then those handgun, you don't hunt with that.
Yeah.
So the rifle he has in that picture, it's perfect. They won't take it.
They weren't challenging that,
but still, always thought that they should stay away from that.
Yeah,
they should stay away from
politics.
Stay away, and their wives. I mean, same thing. Jeff Petrie, that took him out of town because his wife around. And if I'd be a player, I would tell my wife, you know what?
Stay out of it.
Yeah.
Stay away from it.
You're not leaving the house.
I'll be done. I'll be done in a few years. Exactly. I'm done in a few years. Then you could go out. For now, just be patient. It seems like the wife, I don't know if they want to be somebody too, or I don't know what it is, but hey, but this shouldn't go there. They should stay quiet, and then one day we'll have no chance.
Well,
my own opinion.
I couldn't agree more. I love the fact that and we didn't have social media back in the day, but my wife never got in the middle of that stuff back in the day, and that's a good thing because really good thing.
I got one question, Pierre.
Go right ahead.
Yes.
What was it like as a trainer during the whole COVID period?
Oh my!
Hello. Good job.
That
Tim.
was like exactly. Well, that was bad for everybody, right? That was bad for everybody. At least we kept working. At least we kept we had those 300 something tests that was every morning. But at least I was getting out of the house. I was doing my job, which some people couldn't do. I found it very tough. Like we had to adjust, like with all the toiletries and all that. We had to make bags for everybody. That was tough. Working with masks all the time. That month in Toronto, I found it really, really tough. I was going a little cuckoo myself, honestly. I can understand people now, what they go through, because me, always want to be at home, always miss my house, miss my dogs, my kids. But I'm a guy that was always miss, even on the road, even if you're in LA, it's nice, it's fun, but I'd rather be home, which I am today, every day. And being a month, it's a nice hotel and all that, but it was insane. Couldn't go your room, the meal room, and the dressing room. That was those three places. That was it. So we were like 4 teams in the hotel. We had each a floor, and me, I'm used to go outside. I live in the country here, the Mont Saint Bruno. I'm always outside. I always do outdoor stuff, and for a player like I was talking about Gallagher. Well, Galley, when you have a day off, a Sunday. The next day what he did, and he watched like 4 movies, and he's a potato couch. When he's had the day off, he doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
So for him, that was fantastic. I mean, hey, but for a guy like me, I found it really tough. And I'm not the only one. But anyways, that's something worse in life. And honestly, Philly beat us, and I was almost hoping that he beat us because I had enough.
Yeah,
I had more than enough.
That's tough, no question. With long grinding, and certainly Dom Duchamp during that time, getting COVID, being out, and you did mention he never had the room, and a guy like Luke did, but just that whole time and everything didn't help him either. There's no question.
No. Oh, definitely. Definitely, but I don't think it would have changed much, anyways. I don't think.
Yeah.
Like Jean Perron, COVID, no COVID, whatever. I mean, it was what it was. Well, Dom, that's the same thing. I mentioned in my book. He's a very nice guy. He's a good hockey head. I have no doubt about that. He's a good hockey head, but he missed a lot of stuff. And you know what? Some people are telling me, well, maybe he won't find a job because of that, because I've said this. But maybe if he find a job, that will help him.
Yeah.
He's going to pay more attention to that. That's the way I see it.
Yeah.
But again, I accept to say the real thing. And Mathias never pushed me. Never, ever, ever. Whatever's in the book, it's from me. So, again, I wish I had to say something nice about everybody, but it's not the case.
Yeah.
And Dom, that was his big. That was a big. How should I say this? That was not a good side for him. That was not a good, really good, not a good thing for him.
Right.
Because you know as good as me, Knuckles. You have to be organized. You have to win a coach.
Yeah.
Players need to feel. They need to feel that you you control everything. You have the control, and you organize. You
have to be assertive. Yeah,
exactly. That's the first step. To me, that's the first step.
Yeah,
and Don didn't have that one. So
well,
I had guys like Alain Vigneault,
Claude
the
Julien.
day before. Oh yeah, Claude Julien,
Yeah.
Alain Vigneault. The day before, they gave us the line for the next morning's practice.
Yeah.
And some coaches, like 30 minutes before practice, they still figure it out.
Yeah.
I mean, players, they know it. They make jokes out of it. They feel it. They pretend that they're showing the dice, and then, that's not good.
No.
When you organize, and of course, like things change, like injuries or sickness, whatever. But you have to be organized. You have to stick your schedule as much as you can, and then like those 2 days that he switched, that I mentioned in the book, those 2 days that are now mandatory.
When he had them practice in Calgary.
That was a big mistake.
Yeah.
That was a big mistake. I mean, he felt that he had to put his. I understand that part of his, thing. He felt he had to put his
thumbprint,
put his plan, whatever. But when you have a bunch of veterans like that, and
they get off a plane.
At the end of the day, that didn't change anything. At the end of the day. Yeah. That actually made things worse for him. Yeah. That's what it did.
Well, listen, Pierre, I appreciate you taking the time. I wish you nothing but success in the book. And listen, I get where you're coming from, too. I have nothing but respect for you over the years. You've always been good to me.
Thank you very much.
I've seen what you've done with players. I've seen how you treated players, and you treated them all well. You did your job. You kept your mouth shut. You never got involved. And I'm happy you wrote this. And if you did ruffle some feathers, oh well. I've ruffled plenty of feathers in my lifetime, and
Did you?
Yeah, and you'll survive this, and you'll get through this, and hopefully you get a nice little payday at the end. Fine.
Yeah.
And I wish you just a great retirement. You're home now. You're able to do things with your family. You're a good man.
Thank you very much. And it's likewise. I mean, I have so much respect for you. I always had so much respect for you for what you did as a teammate, as a player, as in your life. And then this is awesome. Right, Tim?
Yeah.
He's an awesome guy.
Exactly.
As most of you know, I'm a dog person. I have a Saint Bernard. Her name is Adele. Why do I feed Adele Formula Raw? Because I love her. I want to provide her with a healthy, well-balanced, locally sourced diet. A diet that consists of meat, chicken, fish, mixed with fruits and vegetables that her 140 pounds requires. I also feed her Formula Raw because it helps her overall energy, it helps her with allergies, and helps strengthen her overall immune system. Dimitri and Nick at Formula Raw have worked tirelessly over the last 10 years to perfect their recipe, and they've got it because you know how I know? Adele loves it. She never misses a meal, and she's a healthy, big, beautiful Saint Bernard. Hey everybody, thanks for listening to the Raw Knuckles podcast. We'd really appreciate it if you'd like, subscribe, and share with a friend.